Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and I want to talk to you today about how to run like a child. Recently I was taking some pictures of different running styles, and I had my daughter. She wanted to be in the picture, so we took some pictures of her, and amazingly, her form was just perfect. Now, there are many natural running techniques available today: chi running, pose running, evolution running, many of them all incredible, all very important to understand and to learn about. And I plan on doing an ebook very soon about all of these different techniques. But what is interesting is that there's one technique that seems to be missing in all of the media and hoopla about natural running. And there's a Native American technique called fox running. This was probably first introduced by a man named Tom Brown, best-selling author of books like Grandfather, the Tracker. And in his field guide, in his tracking field guide, he talks about fox running, a technique that Native Americans used to stalk wild animals. And they studied fox and other animals and watched their stalking technique and how they placed their foot. The biomechanics of the foot placement seems to be missing in many of these techniques. So I want to share with you today some of these amazing techniques called fox running, the actual placement of the foot. And then at the end of this video, I'll show you some of the pictures of my daughter and how beautifully she placed her foot, and her foot placement was just perfect, as most children are, until we learn how to do it incorrectly. And we've been taught how to do it without even realizing it with a shoe, something like this. The heel pad, about 1.5 inches worth, will force us to run in a heel-toe kind of a style, crashing our heel down and then letting our foot place. And what this does is it forces a lot of impact that goes right up into your leg, into your knee, and into your lower back, and causes pain. It also kind of deconditions the muscles in the front of your leg, your shin muscles, if you will, to become really strong. And it's very important that those muscles are strong. Those are our climbing rock muscles and having great agility and dexterity with our toes, which we typically don't have any longer. And I'm going to go into this in great detail in my ebook. But I remember once I was in India, we were doing some medical camps in India, and as you go into these very remote villages in the mountains, the whole village comes to greet you. And this was on the side of a mountain, and these kids were on the top of this mountain, and they saw us coming, and they started charging down this mountain, which was just full of loose rock and shale. And as they came charging down this mountain, the whole mountain was moving. And when they came down, I looked at their feet, and they were in bare feet. And it was just phenomenal for me to see them running on this sharp rock in bare feet, perfectly looking feet, toes splayed, strong feet, legs glistening, really incredible. And this is something that we've all heard about, barefoot running, something that was brought out to us many years ago. This shoe right here called the Vibrant Five Fingers, a phenomenal piece of footwear that forces you to run correctly. In fact, one of the best ways to even rehab from injuries is to get on a grassy field and just jog or run slowly or even walk barefoot. Forces you to actually walk and run correctly and use the muscles in the front of your leg that actually support your arch and actually keep the muscles in your back of your leg, your calf muscles, from getting so strong that they actually affect the center of gravity and ultimately how you carry your low back, and of course how you run in either, it's like if you're building bricks. If they're built properly, it's a solid structure. But if you actually have bricks that are being built where one of the bricks are, let's say the muscles are stronger in the back, it's going to create a torsional strain in how you actually hold yourself up. The most important postural muscle in your body is your calf muscle. Well, that muscle is completely dependent on the muscles in the front of your leg. And those muscles depend on how you actually use your foot when you actually run. So fox running technique is very simple. It's actually not just run barefoot, which forces you to do it mostly correctly because you're going to run in the midfoot. You're not going to slam your heel down. You're going to run somewhere in the midfoot of you're not going to come either flat foot or a heel strike and then come down. So it's going to force you to run a little bit more on your toes. Now, fox running is a little bit more specific, where here you come down on the outside of your foot, the fifth metatarsal, roll over onto the ball of your foot, and then let your heel down into a three-point landing, and then you rise up into the next step. So you come down on the outside of your foot, roll over into the ball of the foot, let your heel down, that's your three-point landing, and then you're off into the next step. So it's outside, roll, down. Outside, roll, down, heel strike for the three-point landing, and then off you go. So that's how you do fox running. Now, when you do that, first practice that walking in your living room. Very carefully, touch, roll onto the ball of your foot, drop your heel down, and then step again. Touch on the outside of your foot, roll to the ball of your foot, and then on the heel of your foot for the three-point landing, and then come again. When you begin to run this way, you want to start with your feet a little bit less than shoulder width, making sure your feet are pointing in the direction that you're running, not flared out like this, and make sure that you're running in this direction. That's important. The ultimate in fox running is that your feet will start to come together. So as you begin to run, your feet will eventually be on one exactly in front of the other. If you're running on sand and you turn around, or loose dirt, turn around, look at your footprints. Check your foot placement. Sometimes you'll see a foot flare, one foot out, the other foot out. You'll see that you're tracking wide, or eventually you'll begin to naturally run this way. And that's what you'll see when you see the picture of my daughter at the end of this video, and also in the newsletter article associated with this video. Other shoes that are available, the 5 Fingers is a great shoe, phenomenal for running in dirt. Sometimes when there's rocks and pebbles and stones, you can feel them. So sometimes you want something a little bit sturdier. New Balance makes a shoe something like this. It's a minimalist shoe, so it's a shoe that's going to force you to run on your toes, not let you heel plant, a heel strike. So it's going to force you to run correctly. However, the more shoe you get around you, the more we tend to slip back into the old technique. So as you get into the minimalist shoes, there's many levels of them, and you can find yourself slipping back into the heel strike technique, and makes it more difficult to become a good fox runner, where you come on the outside, roll to the ball, heel strike down into a three-point landing, and then off you go. Striking the outside of the foot, roll to the ball of the foot, heel, let your foot down for the heel strike for the three-point landing, and then off you go. So that is a little introduction into fox running. Naturally, you're going to wide track when you first do it. As you get better, you'll begin to see your feet land in the three-point landing, come on the outside of your foot, drop the ball, drop the heel, three-point landing, and off you go. Please add this to your chi running, add this to your evolution or pose running. Look into, I'm a big believer, one of the other things other books don't talk about is how to breathe. I wrote a book called Body, Mind, and Sport, all about nasal breathing techniques and how critically important it is to know how to breathe correctly while you exercise and while you run. Tie all that together and you begin to have a pretty phenomenal way to enjoy running, maybe for the first time ever. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard.